for some reason, B2B companies choose some weird email that it's not serving the purpose for a newsletter specifically, especially an email course. Because to make it really stand out, I would send it from the founder's name, like a personal email, right? As if he's sending you this email right now. Of course, it's a sequence, but for the experience of the end recipient, that's the purpose.
Welcome to the Growth Blueprint, the podcast where B2B executives get the insights they need to scale profitable companies. I'm your host, Mario Peshev, analyzing data from over 500 portfolio companies, interviewing top B2B experts, and writing the new playbooks that work. If you're a B2B leader looking to drive growth and operational efficiency, you're in the right place. No fluff, just data-driven insights, expert advice you can act on today. Hit subscribe, stay tuned, let's dive in. Hey everyone, Mario Peshev here. Glad to be here, and this is another episode of the Growth Blueprint, this B2B show for uncovering some of the greatest and latest B2B growth strategies on the market. So today I have Alexander Dimitrov here, ghostwriter, marketing strategist, lead magnet expert, and I've invited Alex here because I want to discuss some of the latest playbooks that work well in 2024, some of the groundbreaking discoveries and some of the interesting trends and experiences that he has in terms of building B2B playbooks with email courses and kind of comparing them to traditional lead form captures and some email sequences that he's been playing with. Alex, nice to have you here. How is your day going so far?
It's a wonderful Monday. Thank you for inviting me. Busy as always, but glad to be here back from short vacation.
Absolutely. That's the spirit. And again, this is a new sequence that I'm running here for the channel, but it's turning out pretty well, considering the channel has grown almost 3 times over the course of the past 2 months or so. And I'm more than happy to continue these conversations with other industry experts instead of just portraying my own knowledge and experience here. And I know how passionate you are about LinkedIn, about emails, and about lead capture. So tell me how did that start, and kind of why are you so passionate about these specific niche and segments of B2B and content marketing?
Yeah, that's a great start. Well, I definitely believe that content is still something that people understand on the surface level, but the goal is if you actually internalize the intricacies, and those things I wouldn't talk about today, maybe like B2B general mistakes that they see, talking about lead magnets, talking about LinkedIn content, and how that in some cases might lead from LinkedIn to a lead magnet. Because if you're in B2B, especially a founder, that's pretty much the general route that you're driving the traffic in your audience. But yeah, I started with just consuming a lot of courses, a lot of books, and listening to a lot of podcasts. So I got passionate about great examples of, for that matter, rework was a huge impact on me, and 37 signals from all the guys there, and Jason Fried and Basecamp, and I switched to Hey email. I think
Oh, really?
yes, it's so much better than
I'd love to
Gmail.
hear about it.
Google Workspace. I'm still paying for the Google Workspace to get the login, but anyway, I believe that having content to, in that example, showcase the mistakes that, let's say, B2B founders make with Google Workspace, and how you can save a lot of time with Hey. I think even for that example, Hey are still working on the content perhaps, but I haven't seen like great content from their side. It's just that they're busy launching new projects, I think.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of the 37 Signals guys. In fact, back when we started Devrix in 2010 or so, we started as a remote company, and we actually transitioned to in-house in 2016 or 2017, which may seem controversial or so, but essentially kind of what we saw happening is that building company culture is getting harder. And having people on site and in-house is just making it easier to get them on the same page and do training and collaboration and brainstorming and stuff, which unfortunately you always have pros and cons remote versus on site, but we just decided this is kind of a better path for us. And again, we are still on site right now. But yeah, I learned a lot from their remote rework, and also Automatic's remote office not required, I think was named. So they definitely provide a lot of great paradigms. And they've done a lot with Basecamp, which, since you mentioned that you're using Hey, are you using Basecamp as well?
I did use the free trial, but I'm not yet confirmed on committing for annual subscription. But I think I'm gonna go with it because I'm still using Notion, but it's not as savvy.
I agree. Again, I don't think that the Swiss Army knife is definitely powerful enough. Even though I love the guys, I just can't break the barricade and just move to the two. So that's another side of the funnel. But yeah, you mentioned, and I know you're spending a lot of time on LinkedIn and LinkedIn ghostwriting as well. What are you seeing on the LinkedIn algorithm side this year? You know, I've been a pretty vocal hater of LinkedIn's reach, and I'm expecting some things to change, even though I'm not sure that they're going to be on the right side of the barricade. But what are you seeing so far this year? That's pretty important for B2B folks out there.
Yeah, and perhaps you're talking and suggesting for audience growth might be the case that most people are looking to grow an audience, but for bottom line, right, it's all about the revenue. So from my experience, ghostwriting for my profile led me to really focus more on engagement than producing content myself, which led to more leads and more clients for me personally, which is strange. But I see clients really who already have like a big audience. It will be the opposite strategy because I'm a creator with a smaller audience and I need to do a lot more engagement to build that audience. But if you're someone with already established background with 10,000 plus audience on LinkedIn, I would say producing consistent content and also using the articles and comments on the top voice. This is really cool because it also has like SEO. It ranks really well. They're sending like emails to their database of LinkedIn users, and sometimes you might be showcased with your exact contribution in that email. With I don't know what the chance is, but it's a thing. And also repurposing my own newsletters as LinkedIn articles is also great. So I've seen great results with growing my LinkedIn newsletter, but also getting some percentage of that to my newsletter with an opt-in. So yeah, for founders who already have an audience but want to make pretty much to monetize with either like a meeting or get maybe an email, subscribe to their newsletter, I'll definitely bet on producing more content, but it works only if you are involved with DMs as well and um, really making actual comments, not just like saying thank you in the comments and having discussions. That really provokes people to answer in your DMs, and it's not like some bait and switch. It's just that real conversations stand out, and that's been people are looking for tips and tricks. But this is something that I've um, really distilled this year.
We're seeing similar paradigms this year. I actually hired a community manager myself for the Slack communities just because they're sitting idle otherwise. So it's not as efficient if you don't have someone to nurture them. And there are kind of three types of communities or kind of business leaders or business professionals. So you may be an experienced leader, but lacking the audience just because you're not producing content. You may be, again, once again, experienced. You may have an audience, but you're not posting because you're busy. So you're kind of losing that audience. Or you may be, once again, experienced, but not necessarily very well associated with the brand or show, which traditionally happens to be agencies or consultants or freelancers or other providers in that segment. I'm also working with, not necessarily for my content, for at least for the vast majority of it per se, but I do have a team that's helping edit my content and kind of doing content updates for the blogs in order to make sure that SEO is staying on track. So this is something that I do. I just posted a viral Twitter thread. I did a few of these that I'm paying Ghostwriter for these, and one of them actually made over 22 million views, which was fairly incredible. Yeah, it was pretty wild. It was, I would say, a record high for the most part. A couple that did a few 100,000 or so. So yeah, in some cases, just for amplifying or getting some extra boost or some visibility every now and then, I'm also doing that myself. And yeah, I can relate to this. And again, LinkedIn is a very special place that's essentially the only B2B growth network, and now providing different opportunities such as live streams and different content formats, and now the TikTok feed is just kind of leading to additional opportunities out there. For the B2B companies that you're working with, what is a traditional funnel, or kind of what are the strategies that are working today in 2024, and how had that changed compared to, let's say, last year or the year before?
Yeah, that's a great question. And from my observations, and the clients that I work with, they rely on SEO as old and reliable it was, but I think things are changing, and they still want to maximize the traffic and the conversions that they get from these articles or whatever they have, like a SEO ranking score, but that it's bringing the traffic. But some other clients have just like referrals. They have ongoing kind of media and podcasts and those type of referrals as well. But for the most part, I think LinkedIn is something that my clients are still exploring. And it's funny because I found them on LinkedIn, but in and something else that it really strikes me that I think it's a mistake. Some people are overly investing in automation, which is funny has because it's booming, it's AI revolution and whatnot. But some of the personal stuff and the human approach, I think it's a competitive advantage if used wisely.
Yeah, right now we are seeing a lot more success with events and with one-on-ones. Even though I'm not, as an introvert, I'm not spending that much time with other people, just with large crowds or events or so. It's just taxing for me. And again, I don't condemn it. I know it's networking is part of business. It's just not really my forte. But today, this year, over the past few months at least, it's been integral, just because again, AI automation, deep fakes, fake avatars, and everything else happening out there, it's really questioning what's real and what's not, and the FaceTime is paying off a lot more than it used to previously. And I want to touch on your LinkedIn profile in particular, and I'm actually going to outline. So as a B2B professional myself, I'm also paying a lot of attention to LinkedIn. I've been growing it for 16 years now, and the past year has been pretty toxic for my reach, going down with about 90%, and I'm growth hacking into different paradigms. But I really love the way you're kind of outlining yours. Now, as an agency, it's harder for us to just do a clear value proposition. We do that for our clients because of startups and everything. It just makes more sense, particularly for a SaaS business or a specific niche service business, it makes more sense. For a full service business, it doesn't. But yours is pretty well focused. So it's ghostwriting and monetizing newsletters. I love newsletters. It's something that I'm really passionate about, particularly this year. Less than 90 days. I like the smart approach. So again, uh, it's the time bound element of defining your offer is definitely here. It's also realistic. It sounds like a single quarter, right? If we invest in that in Q3 on Q4, then we expect by the end of the quarter to have the corresponding results, and then some of the core niche signals. I love the banner. The notification bell with the arrow is just looks really great. It's well aligned and stuff. So I'm not doing advertising for you, so I'm just kind of throwing
Thanks.
uh,
That's
a tear down of the profile. But the freebie course design is something that I really think speaks miracles. And I'd love to chat more about this one. I'm also paying attention to some of the featured items here. So you have the power hour, you have subscribing for the newsletter, which is great. You have the lead magnet evolution, which is probably a course. You have free 5-day crash course. And I found these to be some of the most important segments of kind of how to run a B2B content campaign. I'll share my thoughts after, but I'm going to let you speak to these. How are these performing, and how are you employing these in some of your campaigns with customers?
I mean, it's wild. I've seen people reaching out with personalized notes sometimes, and they're saying like, "I like your about section." Um, I changed it since then, as a fact of matter, but people do respond to primarily to the banner and to what I have included as a copy in my about section. And sometimes I got one or two in the last 3 months, like one-on-one consultations, like the Power Hour, which is a paid thing. But yeah, people, I guess, I haven't used like a trackable, like a UTM link for the lead magnet and my sign up for the newsletter. Um, to see and attribute how many of those clicks have actually led to a subscriber. But I think those still works. Those still generate some subscribers, not as much as the links in the posts, though. So I believe that the most important thing is absolutely communicating clearly in the banner what you do, because otherwise you're losing people within 30 seconds if they don't understand how you can add value. And that's usually in three simple directions. Could be to help them save money, to make money, or a hybrid, like a combination of the two. If you scroll a little bit down, I'd say the biggest thing is like going to the articles and on LinkedIn. I think that's
To the article. Okay, I'm browsing
uh,
here, but let me share the screen real quick. All right, so we're at your profile. All right, so there's cool. So do you want me to check? Where can I find it? Show posts. Should be articles here.
should be. I think it's newsletter because yeah, it's
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Build credibility and stuff.
and those things
All right.
have like SEO rankings. So you're pretty much one thing that I learned that I still need to apply for my own content is that all these carousels and all these long posts that you are posting, you can repurpose as an article multiple
Hmm.
times. And I am seeing like creators that I also engage with and have become friends that are doing the same thing on their post and reposting their posts multiple times. So you just need that extra push to make sure that you trigger the initial snowball of the LinkedIn algorithm. And engagement, I get this question a lot, like engagement pods and all these things. Like, what are the best ways to grow? Um, I'm not a big fan, but the way that your posts get discovered from LinkedIn, it's primarily from people engaging. And whether you're gonna get that from an engagement pod or just building like a real human connection with people one on one, whether that's in their comments if they are a creator too, or in DMs, or network events and audio events. I think that's hugely um, untapped, real micro niche, as you said. This is like a cool opportunity now. So yeah, these are the avenues I explore and how that really flows from a landing on my newsletter or LinkedIn profile, going from the LinkedIn profile to the newsletter. Actually, that's the general path.
I listened to an interview earlier this year with the chief editor of Entrepreneur, and he interviewed part of the LinkedIn core team. And what they said was that they plan to invest a lot more in newsletters this year on the platform because they believe in that. I'm also a believer myself. Several reasons. So first off, SEO, there was a massive drop. The helpful content update killed a lot of websites, unfortunately. Now there's a restoration since August 15, but it's not sufficient, not for all sites. It's still something, but it's been almost a year of outages. There's AI calls, AI email, just tanking everyone's inboxes, and people are sick and tired of all that communication going on everywhere. So they're not really looking. There's limited reach on social networks. Additionally, distraction from awards, the economy, the European Cup, the Olympics. There's so many other events and things happening that people are not paying that much attention. And first party data is key, which is why we see a lot more moving into that. And I'm paying more attention to newsletters as well and growing mine. And LinkedIn's newsletter is pretty interesting. I'm actually doing a combination of posting in my own newsletter on Wednesdays and then reposting on Saturdays. Been doing that for a while, and my churn rate on email is approximately 1%. Well, it's probably lower than 1% now that I think of it. It's probably 0.3% or so, but it's happening every week. So right now I'm at about 6,700 subscribers on my email in Beehive, but I have 4,300 subscribers on LinkedIn, and they're generally not churning. So the interesting thing is that it's far less likely for people to unsubscribe on LinkedIn, from what I can tell, and the audience is growing with your connections. And it's a pretty resilient thing. They receive it in the email. It looks more organic from the LinkedIn email. Again, get some SEO benefit and stuff. So it's highly underrated, and it's something that more B2B should be considering and investing in nowadays.
Yeah. Plus, it also gives every of the LinkedIn newsletter subscribers a free notification whenever you post, and It also invites new connections to subscribe for your LinkedIn newsletter, which is automatic.
I also think, and I'm just going to double click on that, it's one of the underrated features on LinkedIn. We can actually establish it as you need to invest in email courses and kind of LinkedIn content. So that may be the topic of the conversation. And I'm going to go back to the courses prior to that. But yes, I'm not sure if I've told you that, but I was one of the very first beta testers of newsletters. You know that?
No, I spoke
Well,
with a guy who was beta tester of the community articles, so that was really interesting.
yeah, I missed on communities. I was actually bummed I was not there, but again, reach was going down, so it was no longer that relevant. But in 2019 or so, newsletter started as something called Serious. Maybe it was the beginning of 2020, but more likely 2019. So they piloted it as Serious, and they gave a cohort of about 200 or 300 people series to test. So if I go back to my very first one, and I just need to find it somewhere in my stats, but they launched a marketing Q&A type of thing, and they gathered like 8,000 subscribers in like a month or so, just because it was so unique. Nobody knew of it. It was incredible. So I was just doing Q&A, and like it was not just marketing, like top 10 legal lessons for businesses or 9 sales tactics that you need to do. And I was just doing roundups here and there. It was massively awesome, worked out pretty well. It just, again, at some point it became public, and obviously there was a point of oversaturation. But first party data and just connecting with customers and users, extremely helpful. And one of the perks, as you said, LinkedIn provides SEO benefits for these articles. So that's pretty helpful. It also rings the notification bell for users that, hey, a new article is out there. And it's also inviting new people to join. Also, I believe when you get new connection requests, it just says, hey, by the way, this guy or a gal has a newsletter. Do you want to sign up and subscribe? Which is a pretty powerful, versatile benefit. So yeah, newsletters are pretty sharp. Big fan here myself. And I believe that first party data is definitely one of the core things that B2B businesses need to be taking care of more than ever, given everything that happened over the past year.
And it's a CRM if you do it right. If you're a B2B SaaS, for example, you wouldn't need a CRM if your newsletter is really segmented and working well. But a question for you, because I really am wondering why is that so untapped potential for B2B specifically? Why aren't companies leveraging like sponsorships? So I guess some are doing it, and productivity apps for that respect are, I think, really pushing the envelope. But like newsletter sponsorship with great LinkedIn creators or ex creators or some relevant YouTubers or some match, I think Ali Abdal is doing it for sure. Justin Welsh, and I'm not sure about James Clear, but yeah, certainly one of those people are doing like newsletter sponsorship regularly.
I can personally give you my take from different perspectives. I have the creator point of view, the agency point of view, the B2B business point of view. So there are kind of different, I'm just trying to do the full 360 circle because it kind of enriches the point of view. So in terms of Justin Welsh, I've considered subscribing and kind of sponsoring several times. The problem is that his backlog is like 3 months long. And I can't apply with an offer now because it's going to change next month and then the next month. When we're doing a campaign, it usually needs to launch in like 2 to 4 weeks. And when your backlog is so long, it just really prohibitive. So one of the challenges is when you need some amplification, most of the kind of larger businesses and stuff are booked 2, 3, 4 months ahead of time. And it's not really something that makes sense unless you're running brand campaigns, such as, let's say, Shopify or a fintech or a bank, something that's 24/7, like 12 months a year, just going on, and you kind of have a campaign to kind of run out there. I also happen to be an investor in the Stack Marketer, and they have about 100,000 subscribers, and they've seen some of the deals going on out there. There are definitely businesses doing that. Most of them are definitely doing that for brand awareness and just for brand affinity, even though there is a clear path to making it a profitable journey. It's just hard to kind of align and adjust that and kind of put them out to in the right way. Or the way that signaling works is it's hard for businesses to do proper attribution, because when a customer comes in and they come from a contact form or from a paid ad, it gets attributed to the contact form or to SEO or to the paid ad, and nobody's really paying attention to the rest of the attribution funnel, which includes 40 different signals of where did someone find you, read about you in a newsletter, saw you on a podcast, or your LinkedIn content, and X, and Instagram posts, and all that stuff. So just the attribution part is kind of it's kind of tough. But what I can say is I'm definitely seeing a lot of progress on the, especially on the Beehive end. They have pretty organic and pretty natural boost mechanisms so that you can feature other newsletters and also you can kind of add units in their ads. So this is working very well. I believe that Substack also has it in some shape or form. But all of these recommendations are working very well for kind of creator specific platforms like Beehive and like Substack. This is one of the reasons why I moved mine from MailChimp to Beehive because it's a lot more powerful and allows for some of these mechanisms to work right inside the platform itself.
Yeah. ConvertKit, which is becoming Kit, is also
Oh,
available.
is it?
Yeah, it's
The rebranding?
making huge rebrand and are really positioning to podcasters. I think that was their initial audience, but bloggers and creators more. So they're becoming like a one-stop shop, I think, for creators and all the landing pages, the funnels, the sequences. But to add, their thing is called Creator Network, I think. So they also have this boost, but the funny thing is like it's not available on the first pricing plan. So yeah, that's the thing with Beehive and Substack. You get that boost as a default feature.
Let's chat about email courses as well. Again, some context. I crossed about 10,000 subscribers on my email, and about 25% of that came from my 8-week business accelerator course. So it's a 16 series automated course. I ran it as the fun thing is the way I started it is I built it for clients. Whenever a new customer jumps in or the agency builds a website or show, or like I sign up someone on the advisory program, I just wanted to give them some resource like, hey, I don't want to explain the same things over and over again. This is like how branding works and positioning, like maintenance and like uh, generally learning the ropes because most businesses knew part of these experiences, but I kind of bundled that and then linked some of my resources. So I built it for my own community and my own clients. And turns out it actually gathered about 2,500 subscriptions or so. And that's how I became pretty hooked about email courses. You are building this for clients, and it's kind of one of your B2B value propositions. Tell me, how does a normal B2B business approach you for this? And kind of what are some one or two success stories that you built for them and are kind of growing right now?
Yeah. So the first challenge that I see with a lot of B2B inbound marketing strategies is that they don't have like a clear sender, and it gets very tricky because you can have an email list with tens of thousands of subscribers. You're not limited to sending mails to that list from only one email. You can have as many emails at that.
I'm going to ask you to repeat that. Tell me again, how does that work? Come again.
All right. So you have like a newsletter with a thousand people in it, but your
Okay.
email is like mario@devrix.com, and you can have like all kinds of people at devrix.com, right? You can have infinite emails, but for some reason B2B companies choose some weird email that it's not serving the purpose for a newsletter specifically, especially an email course. Because to make it really stand out, I would send it from the founder's name, like a personal email, right? As if he's sending you this email right now. Of course, it's a sequence, but for the experience of the end recipient, that's the purpose, to make it as seamless and as real as possible. But the challenge is that they're like, yeah, let's use this office at company.com email or like some impersonal email, which is just breaking the cycle. Or one person is sending you the email, but another person is replying, which is also disconnecting. And all these things are the biggest deal breaker, I would say, is like the architecture of the whole company emails and domains and how they work to make sense of delivering an email course. Because to deliver the email course, the writing part um, it doesn't have to do anything with email, but how you format and combine the emails together so it appears as a book or like a guide, that makes the whole difference. And compare that to a PDF guide, it's way better to send like an email course which drips, let's say, within 9 days, within 30 days. You can make it as long as possible. But for example, I had made like 6 months flow for a cybersecurity client and B2B company. I had, and it was just phenomenal. Like more than 40% of people are finishing. I believe way more, but it's just like so many emails. I don't know how they're opening so many emails, but it spans within 6 months. But it's not sending email every day within that gap of 6 months, but it's within 2 to 3 days you get an email. So that's a lot of emails for 6 months. But the best part is that you're sending emails and not sending downloadables, which is something that a lot of people miss out on, as you perhaps know that better than I do. More than 50% of traffic is on mobile. And I don't know when was the last time you downloaded a PDF on your mobile device. And even if you do and manage to save that file on your phone, how would you find the file again? How would you open it a second time? And that's just like very slim chance. So the point here I want to make is that a lot more conversions happen on a landing page that's just asking for one property. Leave your email, type your best email here, and that's about it. You don't need like first name, last name. You don't need phone numbers. You don't need like to confirm the email. Um, you don't need a reCAPTCHA and all these things. You might need it if you have like so much traffic, preventing spam and stuff. But as a general rule of thumb, the less friction you have, the more subscribers you're gonna get. And double opt-in is also a nice thing to remove.
Yeah, double opt-in is a very European thing. I'm actually running things for my US LLC to not deal with double opt-in for that reason alone. But that's a different story. And one thing I want to mention actually is because one of the things that I love about email courses is the repetitive reminder that the business exists in the mind of the customer. So when you provide a 60-page book, someone gets in and downloads it. Most of the time they do nothing with it, but even if they skim through it, they don't really remember the brand, they don't remember the name and all that. If you break it down into 10 emails or like a dozen emails or so, they see your name 10 times, they follow through the sequence, they remember the flow, and they can stay signed up to your email list. What I see, and I actually saw that from competitors, which was pretty cool. Well, competitors is a loaded word, but rather partners that we've been uh, talking to, like specific agencies doing like specific types of designs for WordPress that are not really the style that we do, or specific type of maintenance that's for customers that cannot afford our services. So signing up for the first company, which is Studio One, we did exchange a couple emails. I'm not sure even whether I downloaded something in the first place, but I got into their email sequence and it's pretty cool, right? They cover some industry news, difference between, let's say, WordPress and Webflow and some of the other kind of caveats that are interesting and they have an interesting point of view. So even though like I'd normally probably get triggered that I probably haven't opted in, but I'm actually interested in the content, which is cool. The other one is, again, I was looking for a vendor for kind of offloading cheaper contracts and kind of referring word to them. Or it was for a specific framework. I can't recall right now, but their price list or their case studies were behind a lead form. So, I opted in. I expected for them to follow up and just reach out, but there was a pretty long and helpful sequence for just explaining, how the ecosystem works, difference between, let's say, freelancers, small agencies, large agencies, some of the core challenges that we at Devrix also cover, like performance, securities, stability, scalability. And all of these were part of the sequence. And I actually kind of keep in touch with the brand and I know how to look into their emails, or I've received over a dozen emails or over 30 emails probably from each. And that's been something that's very powerful. That's what makes, again, email courses so much better, and B2B should be paying more attention to them. And the one thing that came to mind that I'm actually going to drop in real quickly is I saw that in Matt McGarry's group on Slack. I'm in his email community as well. And Beehive just launched subscriber preferences. So obviously now customers can launch like what's the cadence preference, whether it's daily, twice per week, weekly, monthly, and stuff. And like they can kind of change their preference as well. Now, in all fairness, I still don't quite get how that works because, like, if let's say I launch my newsletter at like 11 a.m. on a Wednesday, every single Wednesday. So, how is that going to work with monthly or twice per week? So, I assume it's designed for all these email courses, similar to what we discussed, because I may want to get it in one batch or like daily or like weekly. But it's pretty interesting in just showcases that companies are paying attention to this and they're now introducing some of these best practices.
I don't know about Beehive, but I can tell you another really interesting example about this preference settings because I wasn't a client, but I wrote a newsletter for G2 and I spoke with a co-founder. So didn't happen, but it was a great connection. And they're like a unicorn officially now, and they have a lot of SaaS and B2B companies underneath. But the point is, like, I think their newsletter sucks, and it's not personal. It's far from personal. And they have a lot of assets. They have like so much material that they can include, and all their pretty much like vendors are content idea, pretty much, if not like a standalone uh, media article or a whole newsletter. But yeah, they can write so much things about so many of the companies they feature. But it's really interesting as a platform to have like all these like segments because they have like for marketers, for clients, for a lot of segments, and even you can be a business to host your business on G2. But I don't see that much segmentation when I get the newsletters because I have subscribed personally, manually, from multiple emails, clicking multiple different settings, and it has no difference to what I got. So there's just not enough thinking about how you architect like the best email experience for clients, and I think that's like huge opportunity because to get the most return from email, you really need to, as you were saying with email courses, plan and really think about how those emails stack in the inbox of every subscriber, because at some point they're going to start popping from just random searches that they're doing to find their old emails. And I've seen that so many times. I'm searching in my inbox like some keyword for something that I want to see, but I'm seeing other emails that I was like, okay, now I can um, remind myself to read this later because
Again, I'm going to double click on that and I'm going to say it very loud. Most executives use their inboxes as CRMs. They use it heavily as an internal Google, and they look for specific keywords, people, trends, topics, or so. Whenever we hire people, I always look up someone's name first in my inbox. Many a time they have applied several times already, or I find an assigned task, some descriptions from the internal team or previous tasks they have completed or something. And most executives that I know, they use their CRM first and foremost. So the lesson here as a B2B is first, if you invest in an email sequence, email courses, you have a higher chance for people to increase the frequency of visibility of people who see your brand out there, which is extremely important, first and foremost. And second, if you do something stupid and you mess up, people may very well remember you for a very, very, very long time. Even if you are an executive somewhere and you move to another company and you've done something shady previously, odds are you're going to leave a trail record out there. And instead, if you're investing in social, people are not going to find that. So the good news is if you've done something stupid, it's not going to be easy to find. The bad news is really people don't see anything after several minutes after it's being posted. So that's a pretty important lesson that I'm discussing with my clients as well, more often than not.
yeah, and that's like a pro tip if I can share about how you can appear with a profile picture, because a lot of people just don't have any profile picture in their email, and depending on your email service provider and your host, so there's a way to do it with Hey, but for Google Workspace you just have to do it from the admin console. But you can actually use your LinkedIn headshot in your email, and you can use it everywhere else on Slack or whatever you want. But that just adds to the brand and the personal brand for that respect, how you can cement it and get the most impressions. And that small profile picture just breeds so much trust compared to the all like visible 25 emails on your screen before you scroll on your inbox. So compared to the random capital letters of the people who sent you names, a profile picture definitely stands out. Um, and it's so easy to do.
Pretty solid. I have one last question before we wrap up, and it's what's the path to coming up with an idea for an email course? Let's say you mentioned security companies, so that's probably one type of business, but a B2B SaaS dealing with like a B2B SaaS that has a CRM for fintech, or B2B business doing wholesale maintenance for HVAC or other, cleaning systems or air purification or so. Like coming to you and what would be your approach? Like you say, okay, in the next 90 days, I'm going to build this. Like what would be the topic? What would be a normal kind of just a boilerplate average kind of structure? Type of email course, number of sequences, like general high level topics.
Yeah. So
Improvise.
the first myth I really want to dispel so hard is that it's not a trade-off to choose because that's what I see a lot of founders and B2B companies think, specifically SaaS, because they generally use levers as like free trial and a free demo. And they're like, yeah, I'm all covered. I don't need an email course. And I'm like, cool, but here's the thing. You don't trade off a free demo and a free trial for an email course. You don't even trade like a VSL. It's not a trade-off. It's a bundle and it complements each other, because I think of email courses as a placeholder and a vehicle specifically for how you can distribute and deliver the best value in the best experience possible for the end recipient and the subscriber for that matter. So the I mastered like this five biggest mistakes type of email course, which is obviously 5 emails, but that's the nurturing part. But there's day zero, which is immediately sent after confirmation and sign up. So that's 6 emails so far. And then you have like 3 emails that are pitching and hard selling after the initial nurturing period of 5 days plus day zero. So that's like 9 emails in total. That's the simplest way. So within these 5 days and the nurturing of the email course, the structure is pretty simple and it delivers insights. And it's specifically for really big B2B businesses that mostly trigger purchases out of fear. And fear, it's like the primary emotion. Just because I love the books of April Dunford so much. So Pitch is one of the books, and obviously Awesome is the first book, I think. So she speaks about this all the time. But fear comes from fear of sticking with the same thing, as in like a new vendor or a new tool you need to change like contract for like 5 years ahead and new technology. So as an employee, you have like a fear of like, well, if that doesn't go well, I might lose my job. And that's a legitimate thing. So the safest bet is not doing anything. And the email course in that case plays a huge role into decision making and even enables the employee to forward the email to the decision maker and say, hey, this is my argument, as if you're making the argument for the employee to make the argument for the decision maker. And you never, because it's easily a shareable and it's a credible source. It's not just some post on LinkedIn. But anyway, the structure is like biggest mistake. Let's say you're calling out a mistake, then you're saying the negative outcome of that mistake, and you can add like 5 tips or 5 steps to prevent that mistake from happening. And this way, you're delivering insights. It's not just like random tips and tricks. It's not um, because crash course wouldn't work, I think, for B2B and especially SaaS, because the whole point is like for you to illustrate why you're solving a different problem in an obvious way, or you're solving a familiar problem in a non-obvious way. And those are like the two scenarios usually that you have like a competitive edge. And I think the best way to communicate that is just by showing the biggest mistakes that people make, and you're sub-communicating that those mistakes are actually what your competitor SaaS companies are doing, which is really smart. But that's just like the tip of the iceberg. What I really think about email courses is like a rabbit hole conversion system, because the best thing is that you can build links within the newsletters, and it just becomes like a rabbit hole itself. That's the way to frame it. But let's say you have like all these other lead magnets, let's say, that didn't work quite as well previously, but you can repurpose them so well, just adding additional layer. Let's say we ghostwrite this for your company with like 5 biggest mistakes, but within the last section where, let's say, you're giving 5 tips to prevent that mistake from happening, you can give one of those tips additional link to some checklist or to some template or something actionable that is just additional layer. Let's say it could be a Google Doc or it could be a Notion page, and it's really layering so nicely. You can, of course, carry your soft plugs at the signature of that linked Google Doc or newsletter or Notion page within the newsletter, but it really puts in the subscriber into a path that it's pretty personal and also trackable, and you can analyze what works, what not.
I love the amplified approach here. The two takeaways. First, with regards to the rabbit hole that you call it, for my 8-week accelerator, which has 16 email sequence, every single email has 2 links: one to my blog and one to another guest post that I have on Entrepreneur, on Forbes, on Inc. magazine. Some of my kind of credible articles that just show proof and kind of reputability. So it's definitely extremely important. It's helping with traffic, helping with additional layers. And if they sign up for something else, they are going to be enrolled in another sequence as well, which is going to kind of goes, for the most part, is going to be beneficial unless you bombard them with like 6 different email sequences and they get 6 emails a day.
This is advanced though. This is, you're calling like a link trigger, right? Which like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but nevertheless, it's important. And the other thing I want to call out and just repeat for everyone who potentially missed that is whenever you are doing a 5 email course, of course, there's welcome email, so it's 6, but then you have 2 or 3 sales pitches afterwards. So it's very important. Otherwise, the course is just not delivering the value that it's supposed to do. Yes, it's delivering the core value. It's not delivering on the core purpose of actually generating revenue for the business. So just a takeaway for everyone who is about to reach out to you or generally exploring this to test out internally before reaching to an expert. This definitely works. And if you've tried it out and say, nope, it doesn't work, you probably missed some of these important steps. And that's why it doesn't work.
And a huge also step that a lot of people miss with email courses is even the thank you page, which is still on the landing page, but it's like some people do it so well that they convert on the thank you page itself.
Yep.
Just right after they got the subscriber, because they have included like, okay, if you're ready, 3 ways I can help you, 1, 2, 3, let's go.
Thank you page is highly underrated. This is why B2C and infographics, well, not infographics, but infomercials, info templates, informational pieces. That's why they go through these funnels, right? You get a freebie, then you buy a $9 thing, then a $97 thing, then a $297, then a masterclass. So the thank you page should be used in a similar fashion for B2B. So B2Bs, once again, don't sleep on this piece of advice. It's going to be in this video. And since we are wrapping up here, Alex, thanks for being here and for providing your insights for B2Bs. Where can people find you other than your LinkedIn profile to reach out and enroll in your email or ghostwriting journey?
Yeah, well, my email is the best, but LinkedIn is the place I spend the most time of my day. So Alexander Dimitrov on LinkedIn, and it's Amused Alex with the URL if you want to search for my Cyrillic name. Otherwise, Alex at Amused.agency, founder of Amused. So that's as the word itself, Amused.agency.
Perfect. Thanks for being here. And thanks everyone for watching. If you enjoyed the episode of the show, if you have any questions for Alex, please drop them into the comments. I'm pretty sure I'm going to nudge him so that he can answer. We are in the same daily creators community that we are discussing daily content tips. And again, if you like it, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Have any other questions or tips for guests, please let me know. And we are going to invite them to the B2B growth blueprint. Thanks, everyone, and have a nice day.